My name is Virginia, and I used to be in your place. I'm a Tetuan Valley alumni, and I had a startup about a traveling application for iPad. So I was responsible for all the design and all the interaction, so hopefully I'll give you some tips and some help. Today we're going to talk about design in general, but more specifically about user interaction and user interface. So, why is design so important? Any ideas?
Because everything comes within our eyes.
Exactly, because it's the first impression somebody has about your startup. Everything comes through your eyes. So, well, I want to ask, how many of you code? And how many of you design? 2? Okay. So, well, briefly, well, more like an introduction. How are we going to start to design? Well, first of all, you need to know your goal and your mission. I know it's really difficult for you because we're at the beginning, and sometimes you don't really know what you want to do. But you need to know exactly who is your user and more or less what you want from him or her. So you have to define the site identity and the market. If you know who is the person you're designing for, it's much easier. And the first time you decide who is it going to be, you save a lot of time. And then you have to create all the visual content with all the hierarchy. But it's not until the end that you get to design that. And finally, if you achieve to do all those 3, you celebrate, because it's very difficult. Okay, so where to start? Right now you have the idea, you have more or less several things you want to do. How do you start designing? Well, first of all, you have to start with your prototype. What is a prototype? A prototype is a really simple drawing or visual thing, whatever you want to do, that helps you to explain what you're doing and to put all the main features that your product is going to have. So this is the prototype I built for my startup. That was just for the landing page. And if you don't know it, write down balsamic.com. It's a tool, it's for free, and you get to design everything really fast and really quickly. From landing pages to then really complex structures that you're going to design in the future. So, in this way, you get to discuss, you get to interact, you get to easily communicate your idea with potential users. And you don't mind if somebody changes, because it's easy and quickly. And then, once you have that, you go to Photoshop or whatever you want. Okay. Well, not many of you design, so in case you want to do a quick thing, but with a lot of quality, another resource is Just in Mind Prototyper. It's more advanced, it's more complicated, but it works perfectly, and the results are much better, obviously. So now, user experience. What is user experience?
How people work in the application, what they do, or
What they do when they go to the page. More ideas?
How they feel.
What they feel? Very good.
These 5 are from the service or product that you are doing.
What need is being satisfied? What else? Well, it's every interaction a person has with the company, no matter if it's on an application or on a visual content on a marketing, whatever campaign, it's every interaction. So, first of all, the clicks, especially if you're on mobile devices and on web pages. What's wrong about the clicks? That it annoys people. 1 click, okay? 2 clicks, fine. 3? Okay, you're dead. More than 3 clicks for getting anywhere, you're done. So be careful how many steps your web page or whatever has, so the user can go and get the information. So, as a summary, save steps as much as you can. Eliminate frustrating pop-ups, error messages, whatever, that the user has to click to eliminate. Well, also, if you want to read, Usable Usability is a really good book about it. Then, the layout. When we see something, like when we're on a web page or a phone, the layout is quite important. And what is good is that it's been developed for a lot of years. So, right now, people have a preconception of what they're expecting to see. This is a funny infographic I saw the other day about content and advertising, the evolution throughout the years. Well, you're a startup. there's no place for advertising or bullshit or anything. All you have to have is content. So make sure you provide it. So let's talk about layout and conventions. What are conventions? Conventions are things that are predefined and we already know what they are. For example, a logo or about section, whatever. So, what are we expecting to see there?
Logo.
Great. Good answer. Logo. It's always on the left side or on the front side, but it's always on the top. We see it, it's the first thing we see. And also we expect to click there and go to the landing page again. So make sure it works for you. But also, there are other examples like this one. The logo is on the footer. And does it work?
Maybe.
Well, in this one, if I wanted to go to the landing page, I think it's pretty clear. Okay, unless you're doing a really good design, don't make experiments, because it's very easy to fail. What are we expecting to see there?
Menu.
Very good. Yeah, the menu. We're expecting to see the about, the contact, images, whatever it's important, we're expecting to see there. So for example, contact, gallery, anything we want. But also, there are other examples, like this one. Where are we going to see the menu? Okay. There are only 2 boxes, so it's not really difficult, but yeah, it's making us think. So maybe it's not that good design. Obviously, it should be there. Well, the lines, tell us that there's something going on there that if we click, we'll see something. But that's not the point, because they're making us think. It's not easy and it's not intuitive completely. Middle, what are we expecting to see? Content. The most important part. Make sure all you want to see is there, because if it's not there, they're not going to see it. So that was not my most important part, and it's just in the middle, very clear, and it's what they're going to see everywhere. The rest of the things, we don't care. We really don't care. So if we put something that is not important there, who cares? So about the layout, benefit from conventions. Don't be innovative here. Don't underestimate the power of what people are expecting to see, because if you use that potential to explain and to guide your user in your webpage, you're going to avoid wasting their time. So make sure you know where your logo is, where your navigation section is, and make sure you put the about. Sometimes when you have a startup, it's not really well defined about like the team, but they want to see your face. It's something that people miss a lot, but when you're seeing somebody or a product or anything, you want to see who builds it. What is it made of? And that goes there. That is a really, really important book. Don't Make Me Think by Steve Carell. If you only have one book to read, read that one. Okay, now the text. It seems really obvious that no one wants to read, but when you're putting your product, everyone wants to write. So make sure you use as little text as possible. Don't make anyone read anything that doesn't go straight to the point, because they're not going to read it. People usually scan, so don't make anyone read. And be clear with buttons. Sometimes people don't know if it's a button or what is it about, so make sure you make it clear. And also with links. So we're going to see some examples. What do these webs have in common?
Come on.
In common.
A big picture.
Big picture,
Black boxes.
no text,
How much?
no text. Do you think they wanted to explain how they built the furniture? Yeah. Where the pieces came from? Maybe. Is there any explanation? No. Why? Because we don't care. We just want to see it's beautiful, and then we click, and then we want maybe to see more. But that's the minimum that is useful to that site. So make sure you just leave minimum. Less is more. And then buttons. What is that? That is the most used button on a web browser ever. And sometimes it's missing. Why?
Because everything is in the same page.
No, I need the back button, like to go back.
There's a browser, but
The browser is always there, but No? But I mean, on an application, when you do something or you're filling a form, sometimes you're gonna go back. Like, oh, I missed something. Where's the back button? Okay, this is what happens when you don't have a back button on your application. Goodbye. Okay. So, also, texting buttons matters a lot. Sometimes we think, okay, they're going to understand that this is the go to the final section, blah. No, you have to be very specific. So here, for example, edit and finish. What do you understand? Okay. Do you think that if I put quick edit, if I put maybe easy edit, what does it mean? Doesn't mean anything because it's edit, it's the same. So sometimes these words make it really confusing for users and makes them think a lot whether they're doing it right or is it a problem, what is normal edit, what is quick edit. So just keep it to the point, edit, that's it, or finish. And also make sure you don't mix that buttons. Search and go or finish and go. When you see them together, it's really confusing and you don't know which one to click or which one is the link or which one goes whatever. So for example, Amazon is a really good example. Here, go. On the other side, search. So it's really, really clear that in order to search, I have to go to the go, not to the search. So make sure you don't mix those and you don't put them together because it really confuses people. Links. I want you to see this website. I know it's really obvious, but if you came here and you wanted to see, I'm not even able to choose anything. If you wanted to click something, where are the links? We don't know. So make sure the links look like links. Because when you're designing, it's really easy to make mistakes and not to realize that it's easy for people that don't understand how it works to find what they're looking for. So summary. Be very clear. Always use call to action. Search, go, edit. Don't use huge text or confusing things. Don't be ambiguous. Sometimes we think, oh, I don't know, a company, we're responsible for making you smile. Okay, tell them you're a dentist. Don't tell them you're making them smile. Because when you're looking something really quickly, when you're scanning a web page, you don't care. You just want to see what it is. So make sure you're not ambiguous. And then make it clickable. Different color, different size, whatever you want, but make it clear. Okay, so as a conclusion, don't annoy the user. Make sure he knows where he's going to find information. Use conventions. Use what is being predetermined to represent what you want. Delete all the text. Leave it minimal. They're not going to read it. They're just going to be confused. And make buttons and links clear. And always, for sure, include a back button. Okay, now let's go to the user interface, which is how it looks. All the visual content. We're going to talk, well, there's many fields, but we're going to talk about the most important ones, which are color, typography, space, and scale. So color. Well, if you're not Picasso, and you deal great with color, make sure you use black and white or monochrome. Okay? Do you think this is a bad design? Okay, this is nearly monochrome with grays, and it's pretty simple. If you start putting colors and you start experimenting, sometimes it can be a complete disaster. So if you don't know much, go for the black and white. It's simple, it looks elegant, and it works perfectly. But if you don't, okay, there's a whole psychological theory about color. About women, about men, what we like, what we don't. We don't like orange. I do, but I'm sorry. This is really subjective. But in some, well, I think it's bullshit, to be honest. I don't believe in color theory. But what I think is that if you have a certain niche, if you have a market, if you're a market at women or children or whatever, make sure you know what they like. If women like pink or like purple, make sure you design for them. But if it's not clear, don't pay much attention. And also I have to say that feedback here can be really tricky, because everyone has an opinion. So if you ask, you say, oh, you like orange or you like red better, you have equal. So I wouldn't lose much time here, because it's a waste of time sometimes. But if you have a very defined market, go for it. And do user testing. Okay, so psychology versus common sense. It's true that it can be subjective, but some things can be said about this. For example, if I told you about dark colors such as black or blue, what would you think the company would be about? Hmm? If like for example, I saw a landing webpage with all dark colors, what do you think it would be?
Emo music.
Emo music. Okay. Okay. What else? Fashion, for example. Cosmetics. High design. Probably. Okay. If we saw green. Environment. That's for sure. If we see green, we're related to ecology, plants, trees, and so on. So if your startup is about ecology, go for green because it's really clear. Or for example, if you use pink or purple for women, it's probably good. Not for everyone, but. And then for example, red. Let's do an experiment. A man and a woman. You. Red. What do you think?
Sports.
Sports. Red. What do you think?
Cosmetics.
Cosmetics. Okay. Some colors, it doesn't matter. Like if I ask another person, it would tell me, okay, motorbikes or whatever for red. You would think it has some kind of meaning, but it doesn't. So just put meaning into your design and make it like make it to have sense all in general. So it has to have unity and balance, and also shade and contrast. Sometimes people use just one color, but it has no contrast. So if everything looks like blurry and everything has the same, how am I going to determine if something is important or it isn't? So make sure you use shades and different colors. For example, this one. How many colors do you think it has? More or less. 2?
White and blue.
Okay. It has 5. I was going to make a bad joke about men and women and colors and okay, it has 5. So there's a theory about using more than 5 colors. If you use more than 5 colors, it's going to be either a Picasso or a clown. So make sure you don't use more than that. So I don't know if you're really into color, if you know much about palettes or anything, but if you don't, there's a great site which is Cooler by Adobe, and they propose like a lot of combinations that can be really useful to you. So if you're looking for kind of inspiration, you're looking just for 5 colors, you go here. You can even create your own palette, but it's kind of useful because if you're looking for inspiration and you don't know exactly what you want, this can be a source of creativity. Okay. Now we're going to talk about typography, styles and fonts. So here I always say less is more. People love typographies, everyone. Everyone loves to mix, to discover, to find. Well, I would go minimal. I would say choose one style. Question? No? Choose one style and choose maximum 2 fonts. People get really excited here and they love like choosing everything and putting for the about section different. No, I would choose one. And if you want to highlight the titles, use another one. But don't go crazy here because it's really confusing and it looks like really horrible. Like when you look at and you don't have no clue what you're looking for. So these are the ones those are my favorites. But there are hundreds of them. I don't know if you know them, all of them. But combine 2. Use a simple one and a complex one. I always use Helvetica and Lobster. No more. And then space.
What are the difference between style and font?
Style? Well, fonts are the typography.
Yeah.
It's whatever. And style is in general. You can have the same style for 2 different fonts.
Yeah,
The style here, it would be minimal. Okay? It doesn't have like curved lines or anything. So the style, it would be minimal.
Script or whatever.
Yeah. The font is different. The font is like the name.
Yeah, so that. Okay, thank you.
There are fonts which have a very similar style.
Yeah, if you use 2 fonts with the same style, like 2 sans serif fonts, for me, are difficult to
to make a difference.
To make the
Yeah,
difference.
and that is why you should use two that are equally the same.
Why you choose one style and two fonts?
Sorry?
You said one style, two fonts. If I
Yeah.
have two fonts with the same style,
Then you're a complete disaster and you should leave.
so
Two fonts. You can combine them as you want.
two fonts and two styles.
No. One style of the page. If you
Ah,
want to
okay.
make it friendly,
Okay.
you use Comic Sans. No, don't use that one. No, but I mean the style of the.
We agree.
Okay, and then sorry. Okay, and then about the space. Some people are really afraid of leaving spaces of the page white. No, it's good, but design like Google, not like Yahoo. White is good, not that white. Obvious, no? Good, but okay. So what you need to do with color in general, with fonts and everything, is that it has a unity. That it has contrast. So if I see a darker space, it would be more attractive to me than the other one. Also, some things that are good are repetition. Sometimes when we see things like a table, it's easier for us to scan. So if everything's aligned, everything has symmetry, and everything's has kind of order, it would be easier for the user to find anything he wants really quickly. So make sure you use those, like proximity or even symmetry. And then scale. Well, I know it's not the same to design for phone or for tablet or for web pages or whatever. But you have to, when I'm talking about scale, I'm talking about scale in general. I'm talking about why would I look first to something and not to the other one? And there's some resources like size, position, color, or shape. If something is bigger, I would look straight to that point. So make sure what is important is big and what it doesn't matter is small. Because if we don't see kind of a hierarchy, it's impossible for the user to easily understand. For example, this one. I know it has different textures, but the most important part here are the proximity and the repetition. You know it's different, but you know it's more or less the same, and you'll find everything here. And then if you're looking for something that is out of the menu, you will look here. Like for example, the phone. No one cares. That is why it's so small. So make sure you use well those. So as a summary, a person when landing to your page or your phone or your whatever needs to know what it is, what you're selling, what he needs to do. What do they have to do? Because sometimes it's really frustrating when you arrive somewhere and you're kind of, investigating and you don't know what you need to do. It's like, are they selling me product? Do they want me to cooperate for something? So make sure they know what they can do there. And then, why should they be there? Why are you better than your competence? So, design can really help here. And if you don't present it well, they just leave because they're most likely to find what you have somewhere else. So it's really important. Success is all about good design. Completely. If you don't know how to sell, if you don't know how to present yourself, no matter how good your product is, you're screwed. So this is really important. Good design makes the user happy. That's it. Thank you. I wanted to say, I have the book, I have on PDF, so I can give it to you if you want, the Don't Make Me Think book, which is really important. And if you have any questions or you are thinking about your design, you can come to me later and we can talk about what you have thought before. So we can discuss and I can help you. Any questions?
Not yet.
Not yet. Have you designed something? More or less?
What do you think about the use of, let's say, you are not a very experienced designer, to use tools with templates? Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think everyone's like create something of their own. So if you're creating a startup, it means you want to change things. So why not start with design? That doesn't mean you can imitate or you can have somebody's design, which is good, to more or less have a pattern for yours. I'm in favor of that, but not completely saying, okay, the Google of whatever. But maybe it can be useful to you to copy or to be inspired by other work. So, yes. Questions? Have any of you used balsamic or just in like balsamic is really good. Anyone knows another prototyper that wants to share with us? No?
I have used directly Bootstrap like a prototyper because it starts to look nice, no? Instead of.
The problem with looking nice is that you get really into design, into making things look really pretty. And it's not about that, it's about the content and about making it work.
Yeah,
Especially at the
Bootstrap
beginning.
is like in the
No,
middle,
yes.
no? It's like.
But sometimes when you really like design, like myself, I started with Photoshop and I never finish. It's like, I can do this better, so you start changing and iterating, and sometimes you waste a lot of time that you could be using somewhere else. So this is why I like balsamic, because you don't feel that bad, and it's not such a tempting tool to continue design. And then when you're done, it's really quickly. I mean, from the prototype to the design, it took me 3 days. So.
And as a designer, what are the drawbacks or using Bootstrap, for example?
I haven't used it. I think, well, it depends on you, like on which you're more comfortable. I love balsamic because it helps, it has an option, you can make it interactive. So if you want to make the buttons clickable, it's not just a PDF what you create, you can go through. So it's more like real, but at the same time, it's like sketchy. So if you show it to somebody else, they wouldn't be so worried about hurting your feelings. So that also helps. Sometimes, like when I was showing my prototype to other people, they were like, oh, but this is like the final one. No, it's not the final one. So if you show them a sketch or something made freehand, they wouldn't mind giving real feedback, and that is what you really want.
Yeah.